Glenn's here.
Cindy, is your grid view working? Oh, good.
Jeff, I think it was Joanne last time that didn't have the grid working. Joanne, is your grid working now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Look at Carlos Sanchez's picture.
Hey, guys.
Hey, I was looking at that going, that's an interesting Carlos.
That's me a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, or in a few years.
Is your video working, Carlos? You're allowed to be on.
I know my webcam's just a little weird. I've had a few Google Meets with my teachers, and it kind of lags, makes my whole computer lag a bit more.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey, just before we get started, can I just make a couple of things? One, when you're using your waffle, there's some choices there where you just want to only show participants with video, because I think that might have happened with you, Sandra, where you couldn't see everybody, because I think you were seeing a lot of our images as superintendents, maybe. And if you just show participants with video, you're just going to get the trustees, and you shouldn't have to divide your attention that way.
Yeah, I'm back to the 4 squares again, so I'm going to try to refresh.
And the other thing is when you're using the mute, there's a few ways to use the mute. One is to hold down the control button and then press D, and that'll go on and off a lot quicker if you're needing to speak. You can hover your arrow over your own picture, and you'll see the microphone come on. And then the third way is to drag all the way down to the bottom. That's the slowest way, but I think everybody knows it. And the other thing is when it comes time for the anthem, it is going to work, I promise, but it takes me 2 or 3 clicks. So give me a second. It is coming. And that's it from me.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm getting just the big 4 squares again, even though my waffle is fully open. And I resolved the problem last time with the refresh. I'm going to try refreshing or joining again, but it is the same issue that Joanne had the last time, so I'm not sure what's happening.
It seems a little glitchy tonight. I think the guy who's designing it might be working on it or something. I don't know. It's good? Okay, good.
Who are we missing? Okay, all the trustees are present. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, the regular board meeting of April 14th. Father, can you lead us in prayer, please?
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. During this time of crisis, let us pray together to God our Father, that he indeed look after his creation, his kingdom. So let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. And I would like to recommend the following person who has passed away to your prayers. Brendan Wilson, brother of Melanie Wilson, teacher at St. Elizabeth School. May he and all our faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I believe we're waiting for the national anthem.
Should we stand up?
Jeff, it's not working. I'm not seeing anything.
Could you sing it, Mark?
Yeah,
Oh, it's coming.
as long
Okay.
as it's muted.
Oh, it's looking positive.
Here we go. How was that, Trustee Coburn? Did you like my voice?
Excellent.
Excuse me, Mark, we can't see you anymore.
Absolutely right. I was following directions, forgot to reset. We have no student school department profile. We have no delegations. There's no public session. Can I have approval of the agenda, please? And I'm going to add the note that I sent to everybody this afternoon. So I want to add the thank you note to staff as item P at administrative announcements. Everybody agrees with that? So I need a mover, please.
I'll move it as amended.
Ms. Trustee Whitted, seconded by Trustee Coburn. That the agenda for the regular board meeting of April 14th, 2020 be approved as amended. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Declarations of conflict of interest. Wave at me if you've got a conflict. Seeing none. Confirmation of the minutes of the special board meeting April 2nd, 2020. A mover, please. Trustee Armstrong. Seconded by? Don't everybody be shy. Trustee McEwen. That the minutes of the special board meeting of April 2nd, 2020 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Hands up, please. Opposed? Carried. Unfinished business from previous meetings? None. Trustee motions. Item J1. Motion from Trustee Armstrong changes to procedural bylaw 2.01 and 2.02. That the appropriate changes to procedural bylaw 201-202 to require nominations for the chair and vice chair to be brought forward officially at least 2 weeks prior to the annual organizational meeting and vote for chair and vice chair. Moved by Trustee Armstrong. Do we have a seconder, please? Trustee Armstrong, do you have a seconder?
Would Brian like to second it?
Nope.
Can I speak to it?
Not until we have a seconder to put it on the table.
Maybe they don't understand what the motion is, so.
I
Could you
understand. I'm not going to second it.
Could be, so I can't give an explanation, so maybe there's some that are unclear as to what the motion is.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but we can't get into debate about the motion until we have a seconder.
Can I have a second from anybody so that I can explain what the motion, how it would improve our process?
I don't see a seconder. Usually if you're going to present a motion, you have the seconder already written in it, so it's a mute point.
But there's no opportunity to explain what it is.
As I said,
Is there something in the rules that says that I can't just simply explain what the motion is, so they understand?
no, and as I said, that's when you submit a motion, you have a mover and a seconder, or it's something we discuss at trustee support. I don't see a seconder, Trustee Armstrong.
Okay, so what do we do?
It falls off the table because it doesn't have a seconder.
Okay,
Possibly bring it to trustee support and have the discussion there, and then formulate a
no
motion.
problem.
Okay. Item, so that falls off the table because there is no seconder. Item K1, presentation consideration of committee reports, committee of the whole. Trustee Moore.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have something to report out. It is moved by Chairperson Mark Mullen, seconded by Trustee Simpson. Whereas we, as the Ottawa Catholic School Board, are in extraordinary times facing so many unknowns, are blessed to have an extraordinary leader in our midst to shepherd us through these trying times with compassion, wisdom, and stability. Let it be resolved that the OCSB Board of Trustees appoint Thomas Tabico to the position Director of Education for a 5-year term commencing August 1st, 2020. All in favor?
Recorded vote, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Okay. Hold your hands up, please, for all in favor.
No.
No.
The recorded vote's been called. Director Andre, do you want to read the names or would you like me to? Microphone, please.
Thank you. Yes, I can read the names as they appear on the screen, if that is acceptable, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Okay, Brian Colburn,
Yes.
Cindy Simpson.
Yes.
Thank you. Glenn Armstrong,
No.
Jeremy Whittet,
Yes.
Joanne McEwen,
Yes.
John Curry.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, thank you. Sandra Moore,
Yes.
Shelley Lawrence,
Yes.
Spencer Warren,
100% yes.
and Chair Mark Mullen.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And so the vote carries, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, 9-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just so the All the superintendents can turn on their cameras because I want to see the pages. And yes, that really just did happen. Turn on your microphone, turn on your cameras.
Fantastic.
Amazing news. Congratulations, Tom.
Yes, congratulations.
Well deserved.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Mr. D'Amico, I'm very proud to say that that motion passed 9-1 and that we'll be in further conversations over contracts, but you have just been appointed as the Director of Education for the Ottawa Catholic School Board as of August 1st, 2020. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, they wanted us all on and I couldn't, and I didn't make it.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Mr. D'Amico, would you like to make give a few words?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chair. Please know that I'm humbled and I'm honored that you've selected me for this role. For the last 5 years, I've been mentored by Denise Andre, and I couldn't ask for a better person to learn from. Next year, I'll be entering my 30th year with the Ottawa Catholic School Board, and I've enjoyed every position I've had the honor of serving over those years. We're fortunate as a board to have a talented and hardworking executive team. I look forward to continuing to learn and to lead with them next year. And I know through you, Mr. Chair, that our board has the envious position across the province of being recognized as a strong performing board that gets things done. And this is the result of everyone doing their part. It's the role of the trustees in governance that's an important part of that puzzle. Knowing when to allow staff to take care of operations, when to help direct staff into the new areas, and always providing guidance that benefits our 45,000 students and their pursuit of Catholic education. So I really do thank you for this opportunity to continue to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. And who says our meetings are boring? Moving on to item K2, memo from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services, read Special Education Advisory Committee minutes of January 15th and February 19th, 2020.
To be received, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can I have a mover, please? Someone put their hand up. There we go. Trustee Whitted, seconded by Trustee Warren. The memorandum from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services dated April 6, 2020, and entitled Special Education Advisory Committee minutes of January 15th and February 19th, 2020 be received. All in favor? Hands up. Opposed? Carried. Item L1, presentation and consideration of staff or trustee reports. Memo from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services, update on mental health supports during the COVID-19.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Again, welcome.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm sharing with all trustees the mental health supports which are offered to our students during our current situation. Please note that we continue to adapt our services to students, families, and schools as needs of our community continues to evolve. Firstly, we have shared with parents our well-being resources on our board website. It is divided in the following sections: mental health resources, mindfulness resources, physical and leisure activities, and spiritual health activities. All supports offer good mental health practices. Our social workers, psychologists, addiction counselors, and mental health workers have connected with all of their existing clients. They have addressed and continue to do so, and they address concerns, anxiety, and more complex mental health issues. We work in collaboration with School Mental Health Ontario in weekly meetings. The ministry is currently looking into a provincial platform to allow traditional counseling sessions However, while respecting that this will remain will respect confidentiality. However, this may take some time. Therefore, we have decided as a board that we will move forward on a counseling platform this week. So all of our counselors will start using this platform with parental consent. This will be virtual counseling. When the ministry sets the direction, we will merge with their request. As well, I wanted to share with you that as we identify student needs and other needs surface, we respond to them accordingly. All of our psychologists have now completed current assessments, psychological assessments, and can take on new clients for support. This is currently taking place. Social workers are connecting with families and link with them regarding community supports. They also help families navigate many governmental financial applications. This takes a long time. They continue to do so. As well, some families are reaching out to social workers because their children feel isolated, or they simply want to connect with other children. Therefore, the social workers work through the school principals, teachers, and other students' parents' permission, trying to facilitate a first contact that can be maintained with time. This is to help them create friendships. Our board staff is diligently making sure that all families have been in contact with the schools. Our team continues to support when appropriate in these measures. We have also received a request from the Ottawa Police and CAS asking that all educators be diligent and alert to potential abuse and neglect in homes. If they are aware of such behaviors, they have to contact the police or CAS right away. As well, principals communicate with our chief social workers when there are concerns like that. Please know that she has already taken calls and working with schools and CAS on these regards. The reason being is that usually schools and daycares are the ones who carry such of these responsibilities. However, in these current situations, some of these children may need us to continue that work, and we're doing so. Our SEAC meeting is tomorrow night, our first one through the pandemic. And we want to maintain this to continue, that we have open communication with our parents of children with special needs so that we can continue to find solutions to their concerns. As well, Dr. Paquette was involved in a mental health presentation with parents of the St. Francis Xavier School to the request of their principal. It was well received. Therefore, she is currently looking into offering the same event to other parents. Finally, I'd like to say that working closely with school principals, teachers, and supports will help our students with their mental health needs. Our staff is more than keen to be responsive to requests. We want to bring a message of hope to all of our students. So at this time, I'm ready to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Trustee Curry?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent Sagan. Can you just explain a bit more about the counseling platform, the virtual counseling platform you're setting up this week, and also explain, you have control over your end of it. How do you get to know who needs to utilize the counseling platform? Thanks.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that question. The clients of our mental health workers usually hold counseling sessions with their students. So they have been able to be in touch with them and offering a lot of comments and supports. However, the true counseling needs to take place when there is a confidentiality is respected. Through virtual sessions, it is a little bit more complex. Therefore, Elizabeth Paquette, Dr. Paquette has been in communication with Hillary from our board and other psychologists and mental health leaders throughout the province, just to make sure that the right platform would be chosen. Because it is a provincial, decision, it may take time. However, we've been in contact with our counterpart board as well to ensure that we will start that as soon as possible. We would like to start it this week. We are choosing either the Microsoft Meet or Google Meet in order to do that. Dr. Paquette is in communication with Dr. Lorinda Cudmore, our chief psychologist, and Mary Gallagher, our chief social worker, and they are all in agreement. So we would like to do this until the ministry gives us more direction, and then we will merge to whatever platform they have decided.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary, John?
No, I'm okay, Mark, thanks.
Okay, Trustee Whitted.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Just to pick up on that around the interim platform that we plan to use, are you able to speak to the security protocols that are put in place? Are we confident that the technology that's being used is in fact not only confidential between the two users, but is safe and secure from a cyber perspective?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, when this will start, Dr. Paquette and the team will make sure that it is as secure as possible. Obviously, it has been discussed with other mental health leaders around the province. It is respecting confidentiality as much as possible, but as well, there will be another layer where parents will approve of this platform before students starts receiving counseling. We want to make sure that the parents are aware. We can't control what's happening in the homes, of course, but we will do the best that we can in order to allow the students to receive as much support as they can through either that Google Meet or Microsoft Meet. So it is being vetted at this point, yes.
Just on the supplemental, I would just add, I do remain extremely concerned, especially given some of the news that has surfaced around the Zoom platform and even, around Google Hangouts and GoToMeeting about the privacy concerns, some of the hacking that's occurred. I think we are in many cases uncharted waters for using some of this technology in highly sensitive environments. So I do hope that once that vetting of the technology is done, that we could receive another report back to the board, just speaking to the technology specifically.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And they are in communication with their own associations as well regarding this. Absolutely. Thank you.
Ms. Kuma.
Thank you. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I was wondering if the board was maybe looking into some way to reach out to students who may be unable or uncomfortable reaching out themselves, possibly doing something similar to our school climate surveys, except making it not anonymous so that the results of this survey could be given to teachers and guidance counselors so that with the answers that students provide to them about how they're feeling, they could reach out to them through email and maybe connect them with some mental health resources. Because I know a lot of these students might not look out for these resources, but they know that they need help.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, I think this is a great idea. We are also working in collaboration with classroom teachers, resource teachers, guidance counselors, and school administrators. So we're hoping that the message as well goes through them to the students. And if they flag any concerns, they are to communicate with us. We communicate with them in order to touch base with the students. But that's another way of doing it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thanks for your presentation. Can I get a mover, please? Trustee Armstrong. Seconded by Trustee McEwen. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services dated April 7, 2020 and entitled Update on Mental Health supports during COVID-19 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item L2, memo from the Superintendent of Finance Administration, re S&P Global Rating Analysis. Welcome, Superintendent Motions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight, I am presenting an update, as is normal. Every year this time, we present this update where we receive the board's credit rating report. So the S&P Global Rating has completed its annual rating of the OCSB and concluded the rating opinion in respect of the board's long-term debenture issue, which is related to our sinking funds that you'll remember comes due in 2022. The detailed report is included in your agenda, but it summarizes the overall rating as an A+ stable outlook, which is unchanged from last year. And it's also the highest rating that's presently available for school boards, given school boards align with the province of Ontario, which carries the same rating. So this is my report on the rating, and I'm happy to address any questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Trustee Curry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just through you to Superintendent Motions. A drop in the rate, if the rating were to change, how does that impact our financial outlook at the board, or how does that impact the board?
That's a great question through you, Mr. Chair. So our rating, the highest rating that we can get would be the highest rating that the province can get. So if the rating were to drop, we have about 2 years still left on those instruments that are out there in order to be traded. The impact on us is we still have to pay out those instruments in 2022 when they mature, but the people that are holding, or the organizations that are holding those instruments, they may not be as valuable because the rating has dropped.
Trustee Curry?
Supplementary. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent Motions. So does every school board in the province have the same rating as the province, or are there differences?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I haven't done a survey of other boards in the province and their rating. This is normally only required wherever you are issuing the debentures similar to the sinking funds. It's something that was very popular, a decade or two ago, but many of the boards have since expired those or matured those sinking funds. We're on our last 2 years, as I've mentioned. It's something that I could take a look at, but have not done so. I think we're doing pretty good if we've got the highest rating possible.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, you need a mover, please. Trustee Lawrence, seconded by Trustee Curry. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Finance Administration dated April 7, 2020, entitled S&P Global Rating Analysis be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item L3, memo from the Superintendent of Finance Administration, re Ottawa Student Transportation Authority update for March 2020. Superintendent Motions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in your agenda package, you have the OSTA update for the month of March. It's quite a unique update from what we've seen in the past. And they have, since the COVID situation has started, they've returned to somewhat normal business operations in the respect of everything not related to the day-to-day operations of the school busing. But they're in their heavy planning period right now. So when the COVID situation moved all of the staff to work from home, they redirected their focus on that and spent some time, as you can see in the list. I think all 13 items are related to how they changed their operations to be able to work from home. So they put their energies on that and were able to set that up for all staff and readjusting staff's work plans to be able to make sure that they can still achieve their planning. So that once that occurred, they're getting back to the normal planning operations. In the meantime, they also had to negotiate an additional agreement with the operators that we heard about earlier tonight. And so that took place while they were planning for the COVID. That agreement was approved through an emergency board meeting. However, our routine April meeting was canceled, and we're preparing. They're getting back on track now. Sorry, routine March meeting was canceled, and we're back on track now for an April meeting. So at that April meeting, they've prepared, as you can see, they mentioned about putting together the OSTA budget, which will be reviewed by the board in April. They're also planning for their strategic plan, so we'll hear more about that on a go-forward basis. But while the COVID did put a little bit of a pause on the routine moving forward on some of the operational goals, they did get that homework set up, and now they're back on regular track. So I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Trustee Curry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent Shimmons. Can you elaborate a little, if you can, on the number 7 item under in progress, which is office relocation?
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. The office relocation has been on the strategic plan for a year or two now, and so there has been some work done with respect to finding a more suitable location, a location that will be able to adjust to the needs of the staff in that area. They have been able to secure a possible new location, which I understand will be coming to a board meeting in the future for review and approval.
Supplemental? Are you good?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? A mover, please. Trustee Curry. Seconded by Trustee Whitted. That the memorandum from the Superintendent of Finance Administration dated April 7, 2020, entitled Ottawa Student Transportation Authority Update March 2020 be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 4, verbal report from the Director of Education, update on continuity of learning. Director Andre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So once again, good evening, trustees. I have a few updates to share with you about the work we've been doing since we last met. Wanted to point out, as you probably all heard, that the legislature was called back to extend the state of emergency in the province of Ontario to May 12th. And in the Premier's daily news conference, he did say that schools will not reopen on May 4th. However, he did not give a firm date as to when they would reopen, and did indicate that there'd be further details from Minister Lecce later this week. So we've not heard anything firm on that, but we do expect that there'll be an announcement this week regarding the extension of the closure beyond the May 4th that had been previously announced. In terms of my other updates, I wanted to indicate that we continue to be guided by our strategic plan as they are articulated in our strategic commitments. To begin, I want to talk about how we are community, how we be community. First of all, I want to say that the evidence of marking the season of Lent and the celebration of Easter throughout our schools and the board, even though we were into distance learning, was clearly evident. The messages of Christ's suffering, death, and resurrection continue to be shared and honored in our school and throughout the board, even though we're in a very different platform. And I was so pleased to see that our faith continues to shine through in these very unusual times, and I believe continues to give us hope as we look to the future. I want to give you an update about CFO, our Catholic Education Foundation. As of April 14th, the CFO Emergency Response Fund has given out $224,868. Since March 23rd, we have in emergency response funds allocated over $70,000, and we had 254 requests. the fact that our CFO board looked at the budgeted amount that we had given over to ERF, to Emergency Response Fund, and knew that we would be running out, the board approved the drawdown of reserves of $100,000 to the ERF. So I want to thank the CFO board for their support. In addition to money, I just want to quote something from one of the requests that came through from one of our principals. It just shows, it's another example of how our staff offered to go the extra mile to not only ask for money, but to distribute it. And this is one example. And this is just in the little dialogue box that I get when I approve these requests. It says, a single mom of 4 and 5-year-old girls can no longer work because girls are home and cleaning service has closed. She is afraid to go out for groceries. She shared a basic list and I delivered her groceries. That was one of our principals, who not only didn't just provide her with a gift certificate, but actually went out, bought the groceries and delivered them to her home. And that is the kind of going the extra mile that many of our principals do. In terms of the personal protective equipment, I want to thank all of our school staff, our caretakers, our principals, our science and tech teachers, EAs, OAs, just about everybody that were in the school last week for gathering the materials into a central location for distribution. I want to thank Chantal Mazarol, who's a coordinator of our health and safety program through in our human resources department. And I want to thank Norm Labossière. Norm is the driver of our big truck that goes around and delivers things across the board. And Norm has been going above and beyond, including going out on Monday, Easter Monday, to pick up some of these items. So we have available and distributing now 989 boxes of 100 gloves each, all different sizes, 39 unit face shields, 120 disposable gowns, 315 N95 masks, 28 boxes of disposable masks, 90 chemical goggles, 6 containers of wipes, 35 safety glasses, some hospital-grade disinfectant, and Purell. The recipients of the donated items will be the Ottawa Hospital, the Shepherds of Good Hope, and Ottawa Public Health. The Ottawa Hospital is accepting all of these items for distribution to Eastern Ontario healthcare centres and hospitals, and will retain some items for themselves, mostly the gloves. The Shepherds of Good Hope are appreciative for the gowns and some N95 masks and cleaning supplies, and Ottawa Public Health will also receive many boxes of gloves and cleaning supplies. So again, that was a big effort to pull all that together, to get it distributed, to find out where the needs were, and to partner in that regard. So I want to thank everybody for their support in that. We are also partnering with the University of Ottawa. So this week, we officially launched a 3D print shop in our board office cafeteria. We have the large printers that are in our high schools that are producing headbands for the much needed face shields. And so these are the headbands that the face shields affix to. And we're contributing those headbands to the University of Ottawa, and then they're supplying them to area hospitals, hospices, care homes, clinics, and the Shepherds of Good Hope. We'll use our small 3D printers to produce ear gears for face masks. As you can imagine, if you've ever worn these face masks with the elastics around your ears, the staff that have to wear these face masks all day find them hard on their ears. So the elastic actually hooks around the ears, or clipped to these little devices behind your head, and pulls the pressure off the ears. And so we're making the masks more comfortable for staff who have to wear it all day. So right now, in terms of the large printing, the print shop, I'd like to say, in the board office cafeteria, we have 10 volunteers coming in, 2 per day at most, so that they can maintain the physical distancing to manufacture these items. They are not printed off in a matter of seconds. They take a long time for each of these to print. So that is happening, and we're very pleased to be able to support that with our 3D printers. I also want to mention that we held a Google Meet with the Student Senate on April 8th, responded to their questions, and we also posted a Q&A on our website for students, and with a special section for graduating students to support the many questions that they have. So that is my report under B Community. Under Be Well, you heard the report as outlined in Superintendent Séguin's report in terms of the mental health supports. I also want to say that from a point of view of maintaining physical health, We followed the approved protocol that was approved by OPH, and by doing that, we're able to execute a safe temporary access to schools for staff. We use that time to inventory the PPEs in schools, the personal protective equipment, and placing them in a central location. And we distributed 3,500 Chromebooks last week to schools in all 83 schools across our system. And we'll be using the approved protocol to distribute the internet sticks, and those will be distributed this week. Under the Be Innovative, of course, we completed last week the first week of educator supported, educator directed distance learning. We continued our response to the many questions around staffing, payroll, accounts payable, facilities, construction, communication. The staffing process is well underway. Our principals will be submitting their staffing organizations to HR tomorrow. So the work continues in terms of the preparedness for next year. It also continues in terms of responding to the many questions and the different circumstances we're in. So I can tell you that our teachers and our principals and all of our staff are busy supporting learning for our students. I mentioned the internet sticks. There were 500 delivered to the board office today with 30 gigabytes of monthly data for our students most in need. And we'll be distributing those. Apparently they're an easy plug-in, and they hook up to the cell towers in the area, and you immediately have internet service. So they're not a complicated device to use. We're also responding to other issues and guidelines for staff for everything from copyright legislation. Can you read that book to a group of students online? Can you share those documents that are copyrighted with students online? All of those types of copyright questions. We're responding to privacy questions. We're responding to professional learning that's needed for digital platforms. So the work has been intense and continues to be very busy. I'd like to conclude, Mr. Chair, by saying that I continue to be very proud of our team. I'd like to acknowledge their leadership, the leadership of all central staff, the leadership of all of our school staff, our principals and vice principals. I'd like to acknowledge our union leadership, who have been tremendously collaborative through the process and have given us good support as well as good advice along the way. And I'd like to say that we truly do exemplify our spiritual theme to love, kindness, and mercy. You know that your strategic plan is a great one when it continues to guide the work we do in times of unprecedented change. To focus on community, well-being, and innovation in all of our responses to the situation we are in is serving our students, their families, and our staff. Verbal report, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Timur, was that your hand waving?
Yes, it was. Thank you. As things have changed in the last day, and we're going to be out longer, is there any plans to let these teachers and staffs back into the schools again for more curriculum materials and supplies?
So thank you for that question. What we are focusing on this year is the distribution of the internet sticks. We have had requests for return to schools for various reasons, whether it is for curriculum resources, for another wave of Chromebooks. After that first distribution, some families may have heard about it and came forward after that distribution. So we do have another wave of Chromebooks. And so we will be looking at another opportunity for access to the schools, again, in that controlled manner for very specific reasons. And at this point, we still have not received permission to allow students to enter the facility. It would only be for staff to be able to maintain learning. So short answer, next week.
Trustee Armstrong.
Just a question for Director Andre. With the teleconferencing, the idea of turning the video off or on in the case of teachers and students, what are you recommending they're doing? Are you recommending teachers turn their video off, or what's your take on that?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we do have some recommended guidelines for use of live video with students, and We have support from our union around that, and they're certainly respecting privacy and respecting those guidelines. And so at this point, I couldn't get into specifics about when to turn it off and on, but we do have the support of being able to use live conversations as we're doing right now in a Google chat. We are certainly encouraging our staff to use this platform, as we've found it to not have some of the other issues that other platforms have had. I won't name those, but the security around our Google Meet platform has been certainly well proven so far in terms of all of our staff using it. I trust I've answered the trustee's question. If I haven't, I may need to get some help with either Mr. D'Amico or Mr. Edwards.
Just one more question.
Okay.
Is that okay, Tom or Mark?
Yes.
One more question. So as far as student behavior, has the expectation for student behavior changed on the teleconferencing? And have there been any problems with student behavior since we went to this new platform?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I have not been aware of any behavioral issues. I'm sure that sometimes the attention might waver. I have, through Twitter seen teachers comment on things like, some students who are introverted find it difficult to speak in this type of format. It's just very new for them. And so just being patient and working and persevering through things, and I think they're making some inroads. In terms of behavioral concerns, there have been none reported to me, but those would typically be dealt with by the principal or vice principal of a school. First of all, by the teacher, perhaps engaging the parent with that conversation. And if that didn't improve things, they would work with the school administration. So those types of issues have not been brought to my attention. I think at this point, our students are so appreciative of the opportunity to continue to learn and to engage with their educators and with their fellow students has been really driving a very positive experience given the circumstances.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Whitted?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the Director or the Associate Director, can we confirm that all the technology that the board has ordered and that we approved through the drawdown has arrived at the board? And if there are any beyond the internet sticks that are getting delivered in short order, can we confirm that all students who are requiring technology, computers, assistive devices, that to our knowledge that they have that to be able to do their work?
So through you, Mr. Chair, I'll start, and then if Mr. D'Amico wants to add anything. We have received all of those devices that we ordered, so we are in receipt of it. In the first wave, we were able to meet the needs with the devices that were in the schools, currently in the schools, as well as the new special education equipment that was received, the SIA equipment. Some of that was received centrally was distributed to our students with special needs, so that in the first wave. So we have additional devices, mostly Chromebooks, available for that second wave. And as I mentioned, we met the needs of any that were identified in terms of that first contact, the first 2 weeks of contact, and the reach out that our educators did in week 2, where they asked about what were those needs. We wanted to address do you at least have a device in your home as our first level. And now we're certainly hearing where there perhaps are several students or several children in a home or with some difficulties accessing if a parent is working from home. We're looking at a second wave, and that's what we would look at for next week. But again, we're trying to meet the needs of our students first and foremost who don't have the device or the connectivity. And then from there, we could look at enhancing that to some extent. Mr. D'Amico, do you have anything to add to that? Did I answer your question, Trustee Whitted? Thank
you. Sorry, Trustee Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just 2 brief questions to the director, please. One is Oh, well, it's amazing what the board has been doing with CFO and providing the protective equipment and all that, and it's just wonderful to hear. I was just wondering, the 3D print shop in the cafeteria, is it going 24/7 or not? And the volunteers, are they staff that would normally be involved with the 3D printers, or who are the volunteers?
Thank you for that question. The 3D printers are not running 24/7. The school, the CEC is only open from 7 till 3 every day, so it's running during that time period. And the staff who are coming in are I would say, educators, teachers that are used to working with these machines and working with the program. Superintendent Prendo was there today overseeing the first run on the floor, the manufacturing floor. So I'm not sure if she has anything else to add to that, but she did send some pictures, and we'll be sure to send those along to trustees. Superintendent Prendo?
Yeah, we do have, we can't run 24/7, but we're putting in one last batch at the very end of the day, so that we have one run happening when there's nobody there, and then the first people in the next morning, we start right at 7:30. They'll remove the batch that was put in at the end of the day today, and then continue. So we get in as many batches as we can. It takes 2.5 hours to print a headband, so it's really important that we use as much time as we can on the machines. And as Miss Andre said, all of the educators coming in are very familiar with the 3D printers. They use them extensively in their schools. We even have one retired person who really wanted to come back and help out too. So he was in all day today.
Oh, great. Mr. Chair, can I ask a supplementary?
Go ahead.
Or another question, really?
Okay.
Okay, this is to the director. I know traditionally as a board, we've always allowed teaching staff to sort of acclimatize themselves to the online environment at their own pace. And now suddenly with the COVID crisis, some of these teachers who had not, say, being as familiar with technology as others are suddenly thrust into using it. Are you concerned that may cause them undue anxiety? And do you have any plan to relieve that anxiety if it arose?
So I want to say that I think Superintendent Edwards would say that this is a silver lining in all of this, and that a number of our teachers are being thrust into that online environment and becoming more comfortable with it very quickly. So again, our staff from our Learning Technologies Department have been phenomenal in supporting anybody who is feeling uncomfortable with that, whether it is through, video, a Google Meet chat like this, and then they've developed these how-to YouTube tutorials to support staff. And so there's been a lot of things that we had to ramp up very quickly to support staff who might not have been as comfortable with the environment. And everything from every one of our principals has used Google Meet. And so even just to become familiar with this platform when you are invited onto it, I know that any one of you now could probably, plan a Google Meet and set it up and host it, or it would only take another 1 or 2 steps for you to get to that point now that you become familiar with it. And that's what we're finding is just even to have them come in as a participant in this and then learning the next step, which might be then inviting their students to become part of it. That's all part of it as well. And some teachers have been using different platforms. We're not making it mandatory that they use this, but they've been using other platforms to communicate with their parents, particularly in the kindergarten and primary grades. And those teachers are reaching out using familiar platforms that their parents are accustomed to and their students are accustomed to. So it's been really quite heartwarming to see how our staff, our central staff, have supported our newbies to this. And for the most part, because we are a deep learning board and leveraging digital has been part of that very important pillar of that, the element of deep learning, I would say that we are better positioned than a number of boards in terms of moving forward with this digital platform.
Oh, Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Armstrong?
For Director Andre, the situation with elderly care homes is very tragic. And of late, we're hearing more and more about this really horrible situation. Just wondering if there are any B community initiatives to assist our local elderly care homes.
That's a very good point, and it's obviously become something that's come to our attention provincially and nationally as being an area, obviously, of great need. I am not aware of any of our protective equipment going to care homes, although that may be something we can look at if there's a second wave of that. But I know that a number of our schools already have relationships with neighboring care homes, and I did see an example, for instance, of the Caring for Others focus group at Immaculata reaching out digitally to their partnership with St. Patrick's Home as one example. But I know there are countless examples, and I'm sure there are opportunities for students to. Again, they probably are not accepting letters, but it's just where we can connect with them digitally to maintain that community. And there may be other superintendents who have heard of examples of that. I'll put that on our radar to see if there's anything further we could do. Trustee Armstrong, to at least share with you what we're doing or to put it on the radar. I know that we have plans for Catholic Education Week coming up in terms of not our usual Catholic Education Week activities, but the theme is igniting hope. And maybe there are ways that we can look at igniting hope with our senior nursing home and care homes in our communities to support that very vulnerable and very fragile population. So thank you for bringing that to the attention of our team. Appreciate it.
Any additional questions, comments? Trustee Moore, are you moving it? And Trustee Lawrence, are you seconding it? I see a nod. Yes. Moved by Trustee Moore, second by Trustee Lawrence, that the verbal report from the Director of Education update on continuity of learning be received. All in favor? Put your hands up. Opposed? Carried. No new business, no notice of motions. Confirmation action report of April 2nd, 2020. A mover, please. Trustee McEwen. Seconded by Trustee Whitted. That the action report covering the period of April 2nd be received. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item P, I'm going to read the memo that I sent around, and if the board could send this out to staff. And I want to echo what our director, Mrs. Andre, said. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to preface this by thanking Charlene Hunter for some words of wisdom. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to express our thanks and gratitude to all OCSB staff. As people of faith, we are focused on working through these difficult challenges with clarity, compassion, and conviction. To our educators, support staff, and union members, we understand we are asking you to go above and beyond your efforts to support our students. We know with confidence that we can do this because we always rely on your creativity, flexibility, and judgment. Thank you to our senior team, their departments, our principals, our vice principals, for their critical work behind the scenes to ensure our staff and learning continues. Thank you to our union leaders for their collaboration and support of student success and well-being. Also, I'd like to thank our two student trustees for their work and their leadership with the student body. We are also forever grateful to the parent community who have shown understanding, patience, and cooperation to our teachers and support staff. You've proven over and over that we are partners in our shared goal of educating your children and keeping everyone safe. School is happening differently now, and we're all building the plane as we fly. I am so grateful that you are flying this plane as co-pilots. As St. Mother Teresa said, I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together, we can do great things. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to thank all staff. So it's that time of night, ladies and gentlemen.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for those kind words, and we will be sure to share those with our staff. We'll post it on our next newsletter that goes out to all staff. I think they would really appreciate it to know that their elected Board of Trustees is so supportive of the work we're doing. So thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely, and it's very well deserved. I need to see a hand. Motion to adjourn, please. Trustee Woodett, seconded by Trustee Curry, that the regular board meeting of April 14th be adjourned at 8:02 p.m. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Again, Mr. D'Amico, congratulations. I would love to sit down and have a beer with you and congratulate you, but that's not possible right now. So,
Thank you very much.
congratulations, and we're moving forward. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Night.
Night. To keep moving my picture.
Okay, why do they have to think